Hey everybody, I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is WiseGirl Live on YouTube Live. I am really excited about doing my first broadcast on YouTube Live, and I have been experimenting with doing my WiseGirl videos live on Facebook. So these two tech giants are now in quite the battle, folks. So here we are, and I'm not really quite sure how I'm going to get viewers on this or not or whatever, but I'll try to share the video later. What's good, people? I want to talk a little bit about the struggle is real. I was doing an assignment geared for millennials yesterday and had to get down with some lingo that is certainly stuff I've heard, but not really stuff that I use that much, verbiage. And the struggle is real was one of the things that kind of struck me, because I feel as though for a lot of people, the struggle is real. For a lot of people, they don't have enough to eat. They don't have a roof over their head. They don't have clothes to wear. They don't have a job. They don't have people in their life that they feel love them. And in fact, it's really hard to wake up in the morning and to face life, say, hey, I'm going to still take it on and have a certain degree of positivity or faith in the fact that things won't always be this way. But when the struggle is real is used as a hashtag, it often is sort of, tongue-in-cheek in the idea that, the struggle is real. There's no cream cheese left for the bagel, and, stuff that isn't necessarily as pressing as not having a roof over your head. And so what I wanted to talk about is the real struggle that exists within us every day, not so much in the flip sense of not having the cream cheese for your bagel, and not so much in having the extreme sense of not having a roof over your head, but more the struggle that we face every day in our own minds, and how we can look at that struggle with perhaps new eyes and fresh eyes and see things a little bit differently. When we, for example, look at a situation that happens that we're not excited about, that we're not happy with, say we have a new boss at work and we're not sure what's in it for us and how to please them or how to do whatever it is that they may want to do in a different way than what we used to do. Oftentimes we, for example, in this case, get wound up about it, and we'll really have all these scenarios that will play out in our mind as to, well, should I try to invite him to coffee, ask him out for lunch, or will that be seen as brown nosing, or I don't really know, or maybe I'm going to do this project right, or maybe I'm going to do the project wrong, or, I'm going to have to work extra to prove myself, or, we have all these other ideas based on whoever we think they are, maybe based on their age, maybe their gender, maybe their history in terms of the companies they worked at before, or the ways in which they've even sort of came into the office and talked to us during that first week or two. I know a lot of people are making job transitions around this time of year, as we are in still the very beginning of January. So there are things that happen, like we might get a new boss, and then that are external to us. And then there's also this idea of how we relate to what's happening, meaning how we deal with the situation that is out there. So the question becomes, is it really a problem if we get a new boss? It could be, ultimately, but do we know that it necessarily is, if we have it in our head that it really might be doomsday? Do we know that yet? And what kind of tension and what kind of struggle and what kind of resistance perhaps do we have to this new person when we, for example, might have liked our old boss and didn't want them to leave? And how does that resistance, or how does that struggle to the idea of inviting in what's actually happening, which is that, well, whether we like it or not, we do have a new boss, that is what we're going to have to find inner resources to address. So that how we relate to what's happening often is more important than what actually happens. And we can have a separate discussion about how we can try to, for example, do advocacy work to help what happens out there, right? Whether it's, I know a lot of people, for example, are going to the Million Women's March in DC soon, and so that's a way of showing solidarity and taking an active stance on positions and a political environment that people feel they want to step into in an active way. But I'm talking about relating to what happens out there when you don't have the opportunity to step into it and change it. You can't really change the fact that you've got this new boss, but you can change how you're going to relate to it, or you can monitor or modify or choose how you're going to relate to that situation. So one of the things that you can kind of do is ask yourself, well, am I living in the present moment with this? How do I know that this person might be these things that I imagine that they could be? Well, you don't really. You can certainly do research and ask friends or colleagues or, other people who may have worked with this person before that you know or trust what they were experiencing at the time, so you can have a little bit of an idea. But sometimes when we go into something with an open mind and we really just remain curious, meaning that we're not really attached to one outcome or another, but we have a genuine interest as to, hey, new boss person, what is it that is your vision for the company? What is it that you see as someone who is really productive and a team member here? And how is it that you best like to work and have people on your team work with you? And if we can kind of come in with that kind of an idea or an agenda, as opposed to, I like to do things this way and they're going to make me do things that way and it's going to really screw up my schedule or my time. If we can let go of some of our resistance or our preconceived notions, we might actually end up in some ways getting what we want sooner rather than later, because the other person might be a lot more relaxed about being, there's a dialogue and a certain kind of synergy, and that we aren't sort of clamped on to a fixed idea of whatever it was that we used to do and whatever we think that something should be. So just to recap, yes, the struggle is real. No bagel, cream cheese, it's terrible. But really, in the present moment, things probably for us watching this at this moment are not as terrible as we might think they are, because often in our minds, we get deluded thinking, and while our thoughts are real but not true necessarily all of the time, meaning they're real to us, but they don't necessarily have a deep validity. Like, we don't necessarily know that our new boss hates our guts or something, right? We don't know that, but we may think that or imagine that or feel that. But then we carry that energy into that situation if that's how we think or feel. Or we may think that we're a terrible person or a bad person, or that we're always going to do something wrong. And if we go around the world that way, thinking that, we kind of end up, unfortunately, attracting that kind of energy. And so the more that we can kind of relax and let go and not struggle, picture somebody who's in the pool and they're flailing around, they don't really know how to swim. What if you just lay back and float and trust that if you lay back and float, you're going to be okay? That's kind of what I'm talking about. We don't have to flail around so much. Trust in the wisdom of your own intuition, your own connection, your own grounding. Stay curious, keep an open mind, ask some questions, and then see what actually ends up manifesting. So the struggle doesn't have to be so difficult if we don't have to resist everything. Doesn't mean we have to accept everything like mistreatment if people are abusive. It means that we accept things as they are, and then we see whether or not we can use wise discernment to possibly change them. So, all right, folks, that's my little chat for millennial phrases for the day. And this is Francesca Maxime with WiseGirl. Please find me on social media. Ask me questions. Give me some ideas for a future topic. And this was Google Live, 1 viewer. Yeah, thanks for watching, whoever you are. I'm really curious to see whether or not this platform takes off. All right, folks, I'll see you. Bye.